Hello and welcome. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Live After a Cult. Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about all kinds of things today, including in today's recap, we're going to talk about some former Scientology members who've come forward exposing the secrets of Scientology, including how one of them, as a teenager in Scientology, was made to shred and burn documents. That doesn't sound sus at all. And that person is my sister. And yes, this was news to me. We're going to talk about that. Today is also the anniversary of the passing of Lisa McPherson, a young Scientologist who died while under the care of Scientology after a mental health breakdown. We're going to talk about some vigils that are coming up today and one that already happened in Australia. Smith-Levin from Growing Up in Scientology shares the story of a former Scientologist and the financial crimes of Scientology. So much to look at too. Oh gosh, we're going to be all over today, you guys. Thank you to the moderators for helping out today and the members of the channel for being here. I appreciate your support and everybody here in the live chat. Great to see you. Good morning, Eric Rader. I know we got a little clip coming up of yours. Oh, Quilty Bee, did you really get a notification? Got a notification and didn't sleep through it. Awesome. It's so nice when they go out. And one thing that helps notifications go out, so I'm told, is when we get the chat nice and hopping, everybody hits like, check your subscribe, help us get those notifications out. All right. Now, before we get into some of the Lisa McPherson news and some former Scientologists really shedding light on what appears to be some Scientology crimes, we're going to take a look at something that I just learned about because I'm like, what is up with this? Have you guys heard? There's questions. People are questioning. People are talking. Has actor and musician, singer, I don't know a lot about his band, Jared Leto, started a cult? Is he running a cult? Sloan, here on YouTube, you guys know I love my Sloan, talks about it, and it really made me have to think about it. Like, okay, I don't know, this island 3-day retreat sounds kind of cool, but could it be culty? But they're doing yoga. I don't know. We're going to look at it quick before we get into the other stuff because I want your guys' opinion on this because it did seem weird to me. Check out this clip.
Is Jared Leto running his own cult, or is it just a glorified, expensive adult summer camp?
Mars Island 2, a beautiful private island.
I mean, they did this whole thing on a private island. Everybody's wearing white, which, you know what? People wear white to parties and stuff. So I don't know. But it does get a bit interesting.
Croatia.
Wear white robes and listen to him preach about God knows what.
They were promised concerts that turned out to be preaching sessions.
You have an echelon? What is the deal with that?
The very core following that we have. Yes, it is a cult.
So he says it's a cult, but let's hear what Sloan says.
Hollywood is weird, and it's only getting weirder, especially with people like Jared Leto, who is cultivating their own cult. Now, Jared Leto is a 52-year-old actor, singer.
I gotta say, though, Jared Leto is aging well. I mean, my gosh, he's 2 years younger than me. I thought this man was like in his maybe late 30s.
Songwriter, and director. In addition to his acting career, he's also been a part of a band, 30 Seconds to Mars.
That's what it was called, 30 Seconds to Mars. That's the name of his band. I couldn't remember the name to save my life.
So he's been in the game for a long time, which makes me question why with
Gotta love the outfit. I mean, celebrities are known for their outrageous outfits.
all of these career aspirations, is he trying to create a cult? I mean, there was this 3-day retreat that he led on a private island.
Now, Sloan really gets into it and shares some footage. I'm going to link it down below so you guys can see the whole thing. But it just really it did set off my culty spidey senses. But let's be real, you guys, you know that it is possible that I, as a former cult member of 35 years, might be a little sensitive. There's a lot of things I'm like, oh, cult. I mean, my gosh, handing out well, this is a ridiculous example, but this shows you the level of why I'm kind of on high alert of, when it comes to cults getting near me. Even handing out products in the grocery store, sampling, that is not a cult. But I'm like, why are you giving it to me? Why are you trying to give it to me for free? Why am I eating this? That's called paranoia. But, got to keep the head on a swivel. But I hear things like this and I'm like, wow, Is it? I don't know. Anything. Well, I want to see what you guys think. Vanessa says, I enjoyed 30 Seconds to Mars back in the day. Bob says, people are bored. Stasia says, super creepy. But Marcy, nice outfit, Jared. It is original. David Bruce, creepy. Atkinson, Texas. Performance art. See, that's what I was thinking too. Could it just be performance art? I mean, Jared Leto has done some outside the box type things. I do want to learn more about it and look into this because you guys know I am obsessed with cults. Scientology, of course, being the number one, because that's my experience. But hearing about stuff like this makes me like, Jolie says, WTH, he did the cult doll eyes. Did he do Xenu eyes? It is a very specific stare. Oh, it hurts my eyes to do it. My eyes are burning now. Hey, Church of Satiretology, welcome here. Okay, Keeping It Mike says, I say performance art. And it could very well be that because what better way to get attention than to make it look like you're starting a cult that's really not, or leaning into that? I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye on it. But as per usual, whether it's potentially Jared Leto's cult, anything Scientology culty, if you see something, say something. Send me clips, articles. Give me a timestamp. Tell me what I'm looking at. Send it to Natalie at lifeafteraCult.com, and maybe we can talk about it and get to the bottom of what's going on. Okay, enough Jared Leto there. Now, let's see. Let's talk about my sister, y'all. So my sister Lana came over yesterday. Oh, but first I want to read this comment. Auditing Scientology Casey. Hey, Mike. Due to my cult experience, my cult detector went off immediately when a landmark forum recruiting meeting started. Yeah, so you know what I mean. You kind of like just, is it a cult? Is it a cult? With a lot of things. But anyways, keep your comments coming about that. I'll try and grab a couple more of them. But now let's move on and talk about my sister. So Lana, my sister, was trafficked into the Sea Organization at 14, moved around a whole ton. And it's something we've not really talked about. Lana left Scientology years before the rest of our family did. She was just very quiet about it. And Scientology put a lot of pressure on her. Say something and you will lose access to your family. That's how they control former members, especially former members of the Sea Organization and the ones that got up to the international management base, which my sister did when she was 15 years old. So Lana came over for a little sister hang, and we started talking. I was telling her about some things happening in the world of Scientology here on YouTube, and she remembered a couple things. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do a live stream about this. And we hopped on, and she started sharing even more things. A few things which really caught me off guard by surprise, and I was shocked to hear, and we're going to share some of that. My sister Lana has been going through her healing from Scientology and the Sea Organization for many years. Like I said, she left before all of us. She got into therapy before all of us. She's done a lot of work to work through her trauma in Scientology. And it's only really been this last year, several months even this year, where Lana has been comfortable speaking about her experience and talking about it, even with me. So that's why, too, a lot of these stories that Lana shares, I've never heard, because she was not in a place mentally where she was ready to talk about it and share it. And I'm really happy that she's gone far enough in her healing that she's willing to do that. So let's take a look at this clip. Hold on here. I accidentally pulled up FaceTime. This is from, like I said, a video I did with my sister yesterday. You can find it on my channel under live streams. Scientology secrets exposed. They said to burn the documents. So let's look at a clip and we will touch on this some more. Arkansas Flamingo, thank you. Lana is such a precious angel. Truly. And it really speaks to how difficult it can be to recover from Scientology. She's not been able to talk about these things. And she's been out since her early 20s. That's almost 30 years. Is it? Lana's 52. Oh, yeah, that's a long time, you guys. 29 years, if you figure she started sharing with me earlier this year in January, I think it was. So let's take a look at this.
Which reminds me of another.
And we had issues with the audio, so you may have to turn up your volume to hear Lana speaking some if it's quiet.
Time. See, I just remembered another
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
I got put on a 24-hour project to shred documents.
Do tell.
And again, I was with this older gentleman who did night shift.
And was this at the Blue Buildings?
This was at the HGB on Hollywood Boulevard.
So the Hollywood Boulevard Management Building, which many of you are familiar with. Is that the one with the Elridge Life exhibition?
Yes.
Okay, so when you guys see the L. Ron Hubbard Life exhibition, this is the building that Lana's talking about. Do you recall about when it was?
Okay, let's see. I remember being in limbo of where I was going org-wise.
Yeah, you had already been busted from the international base.
Yeah.
You were at the Blue Buildings.
Yeah. So I was just put on like dumb projects like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was after I got busted.
Okay. So there's a whole timeline that goes with this. I'm going to try and move it forward a little bit. Are you serious?
Being in limbo of where I was going org-wise.
Yeah, you had already been busted from the international base.
Yeah.
You were at the Blue Buildings.
Yeah. So I was just put on like dumb projects like that.
Mm-hmm. She was 15, 16 years old at the time.
Yeah, it was after I got busted.
Okay, so they're just trying to figure out what to do with you, and they put you on a project that involves shredding.
Yeah, and I was with another guy, a man. I was still 15,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just literally bin after bin throwing in to this fire.
Fire?
It was fire. It was burning it.
What? Girl, please. Are you serious? Fire? Not a shredder. They didn't bring in some industrial size shredder.
No, because the stuff we were throwing in there was also already shredded.
Wait. So Scientology, so at the management building where the L. Ron Hubbard Life exhibition is, how is the fire in the building?
It was across the street in another building.
So she goes on to explain in more detail, but it blew my mind because basically here she is, a teenager in the Sea Organization, and Scientology decides, oh, let's get this teenage girl and let's have her burn our documents. Lana went on to explain, and you guys watch the whole video if you have a chance, because she shared boom, boom, boom. It was just like thing after thing after thing. And I had no idea. I mean, we were talking about one specific thing that she talks about earlier, but it just led to, these memories and these experiences that she shared. And there were multiple boxes of shredded and non-shredded Scientology documents that she and this other guy, Lana was a teenager. He was a man definitely well into adulthood. And her orders were to not stop. Just keep filing it in there into the incinerator and don't read anything. And she said they went for like 6 p.m. to about 7 a.m. nonstop burning document nonstop. She said they didn't take a break, no water, no food, no nothing. They were ordered to not stop until everything was through the incinerator. And Lana never looked at the documents. She doesn't know what they said. She said most of them were shredded, but some were not. But they were there together, two people doing it. I don't doubt, because then you can watch each other and make sure one person doesn't stop and start reading these documents. Again, it's one of several things that she shared that just blew my mind. When you get a chance, please go check out the video too. I know, you guys are getting to know my sister, but I know how hard it's been for her to talk about this and share these things. So I'm very thankful that she's at a point right now where she is willing and able to do that. So, jump in the comments, leave her some hearts, give her some, good, like positive encouragement too, because it's not easy for many to share these stories, go back, revisit it and talk about it. It's like I said, it's taken almost 30 years for her. So I'm very proud of her for doing this. Paralyzed to paralyzed, absolutely no problem. Borrowed a clip for this for my Thursday at 2 video. Hope that's okay. You bet. Absolutely. Hey, MD Media, good morning. We were going to be looking at a few of your clips coming up. Bob says there's no tech to handle your sister. That's right. She is unhandleable at this point, which is fantastic. That's kind of the goal. Hey, Joe Buchanan, welcome. Send to Scientology. I'm glad you're here. Sharing a little recipe of yours coming up in a little bit. Okay, so let's now jump over to a clip from Jenna Miscavige, who she did a really fun video, Christmas After Scientology, a lot of great info in it. And I like this one particular part because she shares about how her kids are trolling her with Christmas decorations. And it's really cute. Check out the video after this. Like I said, I'm going to link everything down below.
So the kids have a bunch of ornaments that they've made themselves. And I feel kind of like a jerk saying this, but some of them are really ugly. And this year it was funny because the kids had a sense of humor about it. Like they looked at them and they were like, oh my goodness. And so they kind of just used them to troll me. I feel like I'm a horrible mom for saying this, but it's true. So they have like a little section that's sort of like a funny section where
this is on their Christmas tree.
All of their old ornaments are.
I just think it's so fun. And like we say, it's exposing Scientology can be such a heavy subject because it is, and it should be. And I love that Jenna's doing this content, this lifestyle content, but also sharing her Scientology stories in the process. And I think it's really neat to see people's life after a cult. That's why I called my channel that, because I'm very interested, not just in what happened, but what is life like today? What is your life after a cult? And I like sharing aspects of my life because my hope is that can help people not just in or recovering from Scientology, but maybe other cults and high control groups to see, hey, there's still so much life to be led after you go through a traumatic experience. It can take time, it takes work, but it's so worth it to get to where you're making your own choices and really living your own life. There's not a day, and I mean this literally, there is not one day that goes by that I don't stop, even if it's just for seconds, and feel this overwhelming gratitude that I am no longer in Scientology. I spent 35 years in that cult, and I've been out for almost 15. We're going to be celebrating my 15-year anniversary out of Scientology on New Year's Day, probably. Yeah, because it's January 1st, so keep an eye out for that. So I agree, into Scientology. Jenna's such a joy. Her stories are so inspiring. Mayor's Girl says, I feel like Lana's story was a huge revelation of how David Miscavige ensured nothing from or about LRH would ever see the light. That is true. She talks about this archives project that she was involved in, going through documents. She talks about finding letterhead that was from a psychiatrist listing out the prescribed medications, included psychiatric medications for who? L. Ron Hubbard. She talks about that in there too. There's one other bombshell she drops that I'm obviously not remembering what it is. See if I can remember. It was like the L. Ron Hubbard being on psychiatric drugs, burning the documents. Doing a project with the IRS, Internal Revenue Service agents were at the blue buildings working on a project to clean up. Well, it was what was leading up to Scientology's tax exempt status. So lots in there. Check it out. I'm going to figure out the microphones and we're going to sit down and do some more of this. But I think it's also easier for Lana to do it more casually. We were sitting in recliners and just having a conversation than it is for her to sit here in my office with these lights and all that. I noticed, and she notices too, that that's actually harder for her. But if we're just sitting there and it's more casual, so that's why we didn't do it with the microphones and everything. But it is worth watching, you guys. Now, let's go look at another survivor story of Scientology. Erin, at Growing Up in Scientology, shares the story of loan fraud, child labor, from the eyes and through the story of former Scientologist Trinity Morris. We're going to look at a couple of clips. She bravely came forward and is sharing her story. Let's see. Let's look at our first clip here.
Like getting, hey, you get this line of credit and put it on so-and-so's books, and we'll write up an agreement that so-and-so is going to pay you the minimum payment, the interest for that line of credit.
Now, we've heard, in fact, there was another former member that Aaron, growing up in Scientology, had on not that long ago, who shared a very similar story. You guys also know the story of Mike Brown, his mother, Rosemary, how Scientology got credit cards in her name, got the limits raised, jacked it up, lent it to other Scientologists for services. And then that person stuck with all this debt. The young lady sharing her story here was a staff member. So this shell game, it really seems almost like a Ponzi scheme in ways, but listen more to what she has to say and then judge for yourself.
And that's how they were getting their GI up, because they were like literally sucking dry every single public and staff member there.
And GI is gross income. That's all of the money that a Scientology organization gets in.
And getting everybody to like get these credit cards to build their credit. And then as soon as their credit was high enough, we're like getting as big of credit lines as they could. And that, like, Kafir and Alex Boshoff were doing that, and Rick Garcia.
I mean, she literally names who was doing it, who was pushing it, when it was happening. And it really speaks to the demise of Scientology, because it's one thing when they were, and they still are, doing this to public Scientologists, non-staff members. But now we're hearing story after story from former Scientologists, former Scientology staff members, of how staff members, people on a 2.5 or 5 year contract, and in the Sea Org for a $1 billion contract, were made to get these credit cards. Their name, their social security was all used. And there were plans in place to even help somebody improve their credit. Scientologists, Scientology staff members were helping them to improve their credit so that they could get even higher credit limits and do this thing of lending this money to Scientologists for services. You got to hear her story really all the way through, because it is going to, when you talk about financial crimes, it is up there. You're right, David Bruce. It is fraud every day, all day. It is fraud. Let's take a look at, she also goes in to talk about how she no longer felt like a person as a staff member. Let's listen to that.
Like, I didn't feel like a person anymore. And I was not a mom. Like, I don't even remember like my daughter's like second year, because she was 1 when we moved there and she was about to be 3 when we left. I barely spent time with her the whole time I was there. And then again,
I was muted. It's very common. We hear this over and over again. And that was my experience too, when I was in Scientology, a Sea Org member and a staff member who had children. They're not supposed to be our priority. So what she's saying is very true. Let's listen to a little bit more.
And like, it would get to the point that I didn't have childcare, but they wouldn't let me not come to post. So I would bring her to post. And then I'd get yelled at because she was running around CF files. So then me and my ex-husband would take turns going down to the nursery, and then would get yelled at for not being on post. And when I would ask them, and
CF files are central files. That's where the files are kept when they write letters to people, anybody who bought a book, to try to get them to come back to Scientology.
Would you like us to do? Like a solution currently right now that's feasible that I can afford or don't have to pay for? What would you like us to do? Because my solution is to quit doing this immediately, go get a job and go up the bridge. Because I was still very much trying to like go clear. Because like my uncle was like super proud of me. So I was trying to like appease him and still be a part of the church. But I was like, I had to be realistic. They would not let that happen.
Nope. You know, and she's sharing too how she had a child and needed to have childcare for that child. And as a Scientology staff member making no money, how are you supposed to pay childcare? Even in Scientology organizations where the staff, sometimes they do get paid, not great, but they'll get paid. It's not enough to live on. And especially if you have to pay childcare. So you have to pay childcare to do your 2.5, 5-year contract for Scientology as a volunteer, even though you have to be at multiple roll calls. And on top of that, they're taking your credit and jacking it up and moving that money around. They lend it to this person who pays it to Scientology. And then sometimes they transfer that debt over here. It is this whole shell game of moving money around where Scientology staff members and Scientology is using people to do this. It's yeah, you're right. Marcy, it is completely evil. It totally is. Hey, Rika. You're still in a cult, Tammy. That's my favorite Rika line. It will never get old. It will never get old. Now let's take a look at something that Anonymous Lens here on YouTube put out about aging in Scientology, the dark reality behind closed doors. We're going to take a look at just a clip of this.
Scientologists are often considered lifelong assets, valued not for their well-being, but for their loyalty and financial contributions. As elderly members age, some find themselves isolated with little family support outside of the church. Since Scientology discourages connections outside of its members, this isolation often deepens over time.
It's so true. We have heard this, especially with elderly people, how the isolation, you've been in it for so long, they're controlling so much of your life, they're vulnerable. That is the whole thing, is Scientology tends to target vulnerable people, someone who's had a tragedy and they're like, oh, Scientology can help you with that. Anything that happens in your life when you're a Scientologist, you're supposed to solve it with Scientology. So you just get stuck in this circle because even the trauma that is happening and going on is within Scientology. Yet somehow Scientology is supposed to help you get through that. It is the ultimate of being in an abusive relationship where you're being controlled and being told, yes, you're doing this. You're being punished because it's the greater good for the group, for Scientology. And on top of that, there's no help, resources, or relief from it except Scientology. So it is completely a trap and taking advantage of the elderly. And in my sister's case, she was 15 years old at the time. They were just moving her around from location and location and job to job. And she even talks about her clearances that she got at the international base and how that played a role in the different things Scientology would have her do as a minor. And sidebar here, you guys, I'm thinking, this is speculation on my part, but I'm like, is this part of too why they want teenagers in the Sea organization? One, teenagers who grew up in Scientology tend to meet more of the qualifications to be at the international base or to be in the Scientology's equivalent of HR or the Office of Special Affairs, because they haven't really lived that much life. How much trouble could they have gotten into, especially if they're raised in Scientology? So by having minors do some of these things like burning documents, right? Was that intentional? I don't know. It's just something that I've been thinking about, that was that intentional for them to use these teenagers to do some of these things because they knew they would be obedient. We were raised in Scientology to be obedient above all else, to comply, to be compliant with whatever we're being asked to do. It really is just this vicious circle. But you guys get the point. You get the point. Let's see. Jolie, great point. Plus, they don't question as much because you get in trouble. You get in trouble for questioning in Scientology. Now, someone new to me here on YouTube is Becca's Corner of the World. I just came across her content. In this clip, she's talking about Scientology, the Purification Rundown, and Narconon. And it looks like she does weekly content, maybe even more often. But I wanted to get her on your guys' radar as well. Let's just take a look at a clip.
Scientology has these places called Narconon. They're rehab centers. They're all over the place, all over the world. And they get people in at their weakest points, right? To rehab centers. These are people who are addicted to like heavy drugs, alcohol, and they indoctrinate them. They're made to do the full purification rundown, which can take them even longer since they're actively coming off of hard drugs and alcohol. Like, let's remember that addiction is a symptom. It's not a cause, right?
She's got quite a bit of content up. I'm going to link it down below. Check her out. I left a comment too saying, hey, I would love to chat with you and learn more about you and your story. But it's interesting what she's talking about. Again, that again, another vulnerable community, people who are addicted to drugs or alcohol, and Scientology falsely trying to make it look like they have a solution to that. Power Lies to Paralyze says, yeah, kids won't be charged for destroying evidence. Adults can claim ignorance thereafter. That's what I was thinking. Like, she was 15. It was just 2 people. I mean, it was a solid 13 hours of just burning documents. That is what I was thinking. Desert Dog, kids are so suggestible. Perfect victims. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's see here. Let's move on over. Jamie, great point. Doesn't matter whether they use kids or adults to do it. Either way, it's going to get done. I think, though, some of these things, this is speculation, may have intentionally used underage people for exactly what Power Lies to Paralyze just said. Okay, now, what is next? Let's jump over to New York, where Manning 8 is now out there. Scientology New York is right by all this, Broadway. And he's out there, and he educated an entire basketball team at one time on why Scientology is a harmful human trafficking cult. He's just doing a great job out there. Watch this.
As children, their parents were in Scientology. They were born into it. They signed billion-year contracts to work. As children, they signed these contracts. Yeah, they're fighting it right now. So we're just trying to get the word out about Scientology. They'd love to get all your young guys in this cult. Yeah, it's very, very bad.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.
Take care. Don't drop the calls.
All right, man. Thank you.
They were so supportive and appreciated the truth of what they were learning. I thought that was so cool. MD Media says, I'd love to go visit Manning 8. You should, Matt. You should figure that out there. Vanessa says Manning 8 is doing great work in New York City. He sure is. Let's take a look at another clip where he even lets showgoers there know that Scientology is the worst show in town.
Scientology traffics children. They make children sign billion-year contracts. Can you believe it? But children don't know it's unenforceable. It's a cult right here. Thank you, sir. You have a good day. Enjoy your show. Enjoy the real show. Thank you, man. Scientology is a bad cult. This is the worst show right here. Scientology is the worst show on Broadway. You guys are going to a good one.
And he is so friendly too. He's out there telling people, hey, enjoy your show, because that's what they're getting in line for, is the show that they're going to see. Riga says it takes a long time for a lot of therapy if you were a child indoctrinated in a cult to heal from that. Children cannot consent. No more kids in cults. I agree completely. Joe says, awesome work, Manning. Absolutely. Jersey Jan, I'd love to know when he's out there. I'm so close to New York. Maybe if you go to his channel and you subscribe, maybe make some comments, because sometimes when you interact with the channel, you're more likely to get a notification. But go to notifications, click on it, you'll get a drop down and set it to all so that whenever he goes live, you'll get a notification, or get in his comments and maybe connect with him, and he might be able to give you a heads up. That would be great, Jersey Jan. Eric Rader says, I loved that. Yes, indeed. I did too. Yeah, Vanessa, the worst show on Broadway. He's so right. Just so right about that. I love it. Okay, let's go over to Los Angeles, to Hollywood, to Winter Wonderland, where MD Media was out there, and it doesn't appear that Winter Wonderland was open. Here's the interesting thing, you guys. Last year, Winter Wonderland would share on their Facebook group what their hours were. They're not doing that now. I went and checked, at least when I checked yesterday. There was no, it's L. Ron Hubbard's Winter Wonderland is, I think, what it's called on Facebook. If you want to go see for yourself. As of yesterday morning, they didn't have, but if you scroll back to last year, which it's just a couple posts under, you'll see where they're like, okay, our hours are going to be Thursday through Sunday, this time to this time, this time to that time. I think they were genuinely open Thursday to Sunday, but they would open up Winter Wonderland as a photo op for people to come in. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens Thursday through Sunday at Winter Wonderland, to see if people actually do still show up. So let's take a look at this clip from MD Media. Something weird was going on when he first got there. And Matt, maybe you can shed some light on it. There was the most annoying alarm going off, and it was going off for over 5 minutes and did eventually stop. You can see the gates are closed there at Winter Wonderland, and you can hear that annoying alarm going off, which is attached to the building.
How long? How long? ¿Cuántos minutos? 5 minutes or just half?
Attached to the building of the Hollywood Testing Center, I mean, it looked like some type of a fire alarm on the outside. What do you guys think? And MD Media, if you're still here, what do you think that was? Was it a false alarm? And why did nobody seem to respond to it? It was just very sus, in my opinion. It just seemed like there were a couple odd things happening that when you were out there. That is a weird sounding alarm. Exactly. So he says it was a fire alarm. It was like a round. It looked red. It was attached to the building. Cajun Mama says, could it have been a burglary alarm? I feel like the police would have showed up, but MT Media says it was a fire alarm. So it must have been, I'm assuming, a false alarm because nobody showed up. Nobody did. NYC Girl says most of the people in line for a matinee are tourists. So this is in New York. They have the information about the cult and take that back to their hometowns. Very effective in spreading the truth. I agree. That's exactly what's happening, because he's going to be speaking to people from all over the world, which he has, and they will go forth and spread the information. It's like in-person social media, word of mouth. You got to love it. Old school and very, very effective. So let's take a look. So also while MD Media was there were a few suspicious looking characters hanging around. And I love that he took precautions.
Something's going on. These three are over here. And then him over here. I don't know what's going on here. I think I should put my back to the fence instead of someone sneaking up on me. Thingy, what's going on? I don't know what's going on here, but I'm going to keep my back to the fence. Oh. I hope the picture's still clear. They're scared of the camera. Are they Scientologists?
Nothing seemed to happen, right? Matt, seemed like everything was okay, but it was very odd because we do know that Scientology will use characters to try to provoke an altercation. So the police come and then the live streamer or protester gets arrested. We've seen this play out. So you are very wise to take precautions and note the very odd behavior. You are right, Joe Buchanan. You are absolutely right. All right, now let's take a look. Wally Lou, you're right. Scientology will not change its tactics, its dogma. I agree. I agree completely. It's like David Miscavige has taken the worst of Scientology and just doubled down on a lot of it. Let's take a look now at the blue buildings. Let's go over to L. Ron Hubbard Way. Now, MD Media has another channel called Faces of Scientology, where he goes and he pre-records. He's not live streaming. That way, the alleged jammers that Scientology is using that blurs just as soon as you get close to certain areas of the blue buildings. And we've seen this happen too at the testing center. Suddenly things start to go blurry. Could be coincidence. Could be Scientology using cell phone jammers. I don't know. I'm speculating, but it does seem to happen. So Faces of Scientology on that channel, Matt goes out and pre-records and then shares his content on there. And what's really neat about that is you do actually get to see the faces of Scientology because it's not blurry. I love that he does that. So we're going to look at a couple clips from that out there on L. Ron Hubbard Way. This first one, a greeting Scientologists at Scientology's blue buildings.
Hey there, how you doing, guys? Happy Monday or Wednesday? Sorry,
That's the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles. That's where the operating Thetan levels are being delivered. That's where you go to learn about Xenu and body Thetans.
how's it going again? Morning or good afternoon.
I mean, just saying hello and greeting people. That is going to drive Scientology crazy. It so will. Interesting too that he caught them in the morning. So people are getting ready to go on course. They're getting ready to go do their Scientology auditing. They're getting breakfast. They're grabbing coffee from the cafe that's down there. And you'll notice, was it this clip that I saw? It might have been a different one here. Looks like they got like a grill or something set outside. Is he making breakfast items? I don't know. Oh, lunchtime. It was lunchtime. Okay, what a great time to be out there. Because again, they're in between courses. They're in between. They might be taking a break from their auditing and they need to, they got to go get some food and then you catch them when they're out there. Okay, let's see. NYC girl, Scientology methods are obsolete. I feel the end of the cult is near. The internet ruined the old methods. Seems like they are unwilling to change. Correct. They are unwilling to change. They cannot change because they would be violating the number one policy in Scientology, which is keeping Scientology working, that very specifically says you're not supposed to change anything. Now, we do know, though, over the decades, David Miscavige has changed things, but it's the way he presents it to Scientologists. Because you guys might be asking, well, wait a minute, Natalie, if David Miscavige is changing so many things in Scientology, how are Scientologists down with this? Because he tells them, well, you guys, here's the deal. We've been looking through all of L. Ron Hubbard's original documents because, we sent kids in to go do that, namely my sister, by the way, to go dig through and find the original handwritten documents. So here's what I think is happening. I think that David Miscavige just, whatever scenario he wants to push, he changes things enough and then says, oh, no. This over here, this new book you have to buy because we fixed it. This is what L. Ron Hubbard really said. Other people were adding things in that were not true, but this is what he really said. I really have the truth here about L. Ron Hubbard. That's how he gets away with it. And at this point, David Miscavige, you know what? We should wake up Osa. This isn't fair. What is today? Is today Wednesday? No, Thursday. Oh my God, it's Thursday. It is Thursday. David Miscavige, wake up your people. We got to be really loud because it's Thursday, Office of Special Affairs. Rise and shine. Your leader continues to be what L. Ron Hubbard called a squirrel. And y'all know what you're doing. You know it's abusive practices in the Office of Special Affairs. Sometimes one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. But y'all know. And a lot of you are waiting it out. I know what you're thinking. You know what? Maybe L. Ron Hubbard will come back and get rid of this evil dictator known as David Miscavige, who has gotten rid of so many Scientology executives. Some of them, by the way, back in the day, who committed their own human rights abuses and crimes in the name of Scientology. It is not just David Miscavige. He just kind of represents the whole idea as a whole of the harmful abuses within Scientology. But it all started with L. Ron Hubbard. It all started with him. Matt says, thank you all for the kind words. I appreciate you very much. Absolutely. We're going to go through a couple more, some protesters clips. And as we go along, throw some hearts, throw some love, throw some aloha in that chat. If you're on the replay, do the same thing. And let's show them all kinds of support for what they're doing here. So let's look at another clip from Faces of Scientology where he meets two tourists and they have thoughts about Scientology. We're just talking about this in New York. It also happens in Los Angeles at the Blue Buildings where tourists show up. And when there is someone live streaming or protesting who was willing to take the time and explain to them what's up. And I thought Matt did a great job of that. Let's take a look.
over there with our bikes, and the security guard came over straight away, and he seemed okay, but he was on us like that.
He's saying, if you can't hear, just turn it up a little bit. I've got it as loud as it can be right now, but security was keeping an eye on these guys when they showed up on their bikes.
Yep, they will, for sure.
To be fair, I'll be honest, credit where credit due. He was actually quite sound. He was actually just more interested in the bikes than anything.
Yeah, they're nice. They're really nice if you treat them with respect. Majority of them.
Yeah, I think that's. I'll be honest.
And you guys, they want the bikes. They want to see the bikes. That's what they're interested in.
I mean, those are some cool looking bikes there. And he's right. We see this in video after video of people out there. When you're saying hello and you're being friendly, it confuses them because they are told, Scientologists are told, that people live streaming and protesting Scientology are psychotic criminals. So if there's behavior to back up psychotic criminal, Scientology will double down, and that's what they show them. See, this person is a psychotic criminal. Well, when you got like MD Media 18, when you got Matt out there saying, hey, have a great day, and just in a kind way saying, hey, if you ever need help leaving, here's how you can get help. That flies in the face of that. And how does Scientology argue against that? There's this horrific person on Hubbard Way wishing people a good day. Oh, that is just horrible.
They don't get much. A lot of these people that are guys on the bikes, $47 a week. They're getting paid a week.
So would you say the security guards are Scientologists as well?
100%, yes. Not so much the one that you see with the security that says security on his back with the gun. He's not. He's private.
I was going to say, I said to Lewis, I was like, I'd imagine they're private.
Yeah. He's a hired security, private. But the ones that you see on the bikes, they're Scientologists. And most of them are foreigners. This is a Scientology car right here.
Okay.
He clued them in on it, and they're going to take all that newfound information that they have and hopefully share it with their friends in the UK, and maybe even find other people who are live streaming and protesting Scientology out there and getting the word out, getting it out. MD Media 18 says, one of the ladies who was working as a subcontractor told me she was told not to talk to us, and she assured me she wasn't a Scientologist. That is true. They will tell their hired people. We saw this happen at Winter Wonderland the other night with his security guard, Ted, who got into it with Scientology Audit Streets LA. William Good, the good father. He did. He got into it with him. It's like, you didn't need to do that. Like, you went off. You guys remember? Wah, wah. William Good made a short of that. It's so great. It's so great. Wally Lou, the us versus them mentality proves it's a cult. Very much so. They're the ones trying to get people not to communicate. Whereas, people like Matt are out there just trying to communicate. Hey, how are you? Have a great day. And able to show people who might have loved ones in Scientology, especially in the C organization, see them. And this has happened. Hey, that's my loved one. Hey, that's my family member. That's my friend. I've been looking for that person. I've been wondering where they are. And Scientology does not want that. So you'll often see, especially at the blue buildings where that cafe area is, you'll see public Scientologists. These are people who are not Sea Org members. They will come and go. They'll avoid the camera. But when you see Sea Organization members, many of them will do an about face and walk away because they have been briefed to do that, not be caught on camera. They don't want their faces being seen. Amanda, yep, we just want everyone to be free. And not everyone there in Scientology wants to leave, especially the public. In Scientology, they're called public. People who are not staff members are public Scientologists. And they live in their own homes. They're being financially assaulted on a regular basis. And I will tell you this. The majority of Scientologists in good standing, the people that you're seeing in these videos, don't like it. They don't like spending all the money. They don't like going into debt. But Scientology propaganda and brainwashing gets them to believe that they need to, because the planet, their children, if they have grandchildren, the whole agonized future of civilization and the people they love depend on what Scientology and Scientologists do today. So skip the family get-together, skip the holidays, show up at Scientology, do your auditing, be on course, recruit for Scientology, hand out propaganda. That's what they push because they convince people that in the long run, That is what will pay off. And they're robbing them of time with their families during the holidays, especially. Eric Rader says, how dare Matt be nice and promoting our protest in a way that would make others want to join? How dare you? Okay, where am I at here? Let's go over. Oh, speaking of, let's look at this clip here from Eric Rader doing some flyer tech.
Posting flyers is a low-risk, efficient way to expose Scientology's abuses while avoiding any direct interaction with the organization, making it impossible for them to retaliate or entrap you. Flyers can reach a wide audience, educating the general public and deterring vulnerable individuals from being drawn into Scientology's recruitment tactics. By spreading clear, factual information, this method ensures people understand the truth about Scientology before they ever consider engaging with it.
And Eric Rader, too, has run into people who've seen his signs. I mean, the flyers work. People see it. These are all different things that can be done to raise awareness. And I think it's fantastic. Anything anybody does, being here, liking, subscribing, watching this video is a protest against Scientology. You're learning information. I try to do it in a fun and entertaining way to help keep your attention. But at the end of the day, it's about learning about the abuses of Scientology so we can educate other people as well on even cults in general. Because when you learn about how Scientology operates, let's be real, we're learning about it's the like cult handbook 101. Many people have gone off to start cults that were former Scientologists. Nexium, even Landmark Forum, originally going back to Est, was started by a former Scientologist. Where am I at, you guys? Let's see. Oh, I got to share this. And especially right now, I'm sitting here just getting really hungry, and this is going to make me even hungrier. Kathy, I love that. Eric the Staple King. We need to get him a shirt. Eric is definitely getting the word out beyond blue. Thank you, MD Media, for saying that. Thank you. Okay, so let's go over now and look at this from Sins of Scientology. Sins of Scientology does regular podcast content about Scientology and the backstory of so much of the stories you hear about, like Lisa McPherson, which we're going to talk a lot about in just a couple minutes. And you should check them out. But what they're also doing is sharing some culinary confessions. Buffalo chicken dip, the tasty crime of passion that took over the nation. I like it because, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to feed myself, because I need to learn how to just make more healthy choices. And I'm like, I can make this, and I think I have everything. Rotisserie chicken. I think I have some canned shredded chicken. I might even have cream cheese. I'm like, I want to make this. So I have printed it out, added it to my shopping list, and that's Sins of Scientology. So you can check out their content. You can check out oh my gosh, even their coverage of Lisa McPherson. They've gotten to things about David Mayo. Like, these are people you might not have heard about. You can learn a lot of the history of Scientology and some of the biggest sins of Scientology by checking out their channel. So please make sure that you do that. T, thank you so much for your kind words for Lana. I'll make sure she sees this. Thank you for sharing. Knowing you survived what you have gives me hope that I will overcome my past as well. Thank you. T, thank you so much for those kind words. And like I said, I will make sure that Lana sees that. All right, moving on over. Speaking of, now today is the anniversary of the passing of Lisa McPherson. I'm going to share a link down below that I think is a great place to start. It's a tough place to start, though. The Underground Bunker did an article that came out today about it with a lot of details that some of you might not know about, some disturbing details, really details the demise of Lisa McPherson under the care of Scientology and what happened. So what I'm going to do is, after this video, I'm linking this down below so that you can make the choice to read it or not read it. And the only reason I say that is because it does have some disturbing details in it, and that might be triggering and difficult for some people, but I would still check it out and read it. I read it. I was disturbed, but because you should be disturbed. Being disturbed reading that is the appropriate reaction to it. But, it's a tough time. It's the holidays. If you feel overwhelmed or this hits a little too close to home, take care of yourself first. Maybe you don't want to read it, but you can follow along with a lot of the vigils that are going to be going on today for Lisa McPherson. But for those that really want the raw information of what happened, it's going to be linked down below and you can check it out. Let's take a look now let's go to Melbourne. I keep always like, am I saying it right? T, per Scientology audit, Miriam, Rage Against the Dark Arts, and others were out there in Melbourne having a vigil for Lisa McPherson. So let's take a look at a clip from that. Theirs already happened because, you know, in Australia, they're so far ahead in time. So, but you can see the videos and I'm going to link them down below. And let's take a look at a clip here. And again, this is from T Perth Scientology audit in Melbourne.
I've handed out a lot of leaflets explaining to passers-by. We chucked one in the back of a Sciento that was coming out, chucked it in the back of his convertible. And I hope he reads it. I really do. And, you know, we've spoken to quite a few people. We've asked them to please pass on the message to spread this awareness. They weren't aware of it. They either weren't aware of it or they'd had family or friends that have been involved in it and been ripped off and lost their lives and taken their lives because of Scientology. You know, it is going on. It's rife here. Yes, the last census in 2021, there was only 1,655 or what it was in the whole of Australia.
Amazing. We're going to look at another clip where they sang, and yeah, give T all of those in Australia. Let's show them a lot of love in the chat. Throw some hearts, throw some messages. If you're catching this on the replay, do the same thing. When we highlight things here and we share it, often that creator will come back, watch the video, read the comments. So please leave them some support that way. Again, it's a way that's easy to support people who are doing this. And there's other ways to support them. You can go to their channel. You can check out their links, so many ways. But even, again, just watching the videos, commenting on it, sharing it is such a huge part of spreading this message. And everybody who does that, you are helping out. You are protesting Scientology. You are raising awareness. And I don't want to minimize that. We talk about it once in a while, but the power of so many of you, never in Scientology, but all in on ending this cult, is what's going to further expose Scientology, elevate the survivor stories, get it out there, because you outnumber former members. There's so many more of you. And I think that's why we're seeing such a turning point. Scientology has been downtrending for years. They are ending themselves. We are helping it along, but also providing a place for former members and other people who've gone through maybe a cult or a traumatic experience to come and find some community. I love the way you guys get to know each other and chat in the cult and not in the cult. Oh my God, in the chat in the chat and support each other. I love that so much. And it's a huge part of what I want my channel to be. And with the help of the moderators who do an amazing job, you know, I think we do that. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If there's something you want to know and you're new to the channel, this is a place where you can do that. Or even if you've been around for a long time. Now, going back to T there. Yes, lots of love. Thank you, Jen Cell. Give them some love. Let's go take a look at, they sang Amazing Grace and it was so beautiful. We're just going to look at a little clip, but it's going to be linked down below so you can see the whole thing. It was amazing. I'm going to link, again, go check out the links down below right after this. Watch the whole thing. She's got a couple videos up on there. It was beautiful. There's lots more coming up that we're going to look at. They got lots of public support as well. I think I have a clip of that where lots of honks, lots of support.
I forgot to bring my leggings. Woo! I know, right? We just had the police, just spoke to the police. Yeah. And I was saying to them, like not being rude and it's not your fault when you have so much to learn. And I said, but there seems to be not a lot of, you're not being informed enough about cults and
I love too that she had that conversation with law enforcement, because so much of this is education and educating and approaching people, you know, in the way that she approaches even law enforcement and shares. It's like, hey, I just want you to know this. And a lot of them, they don't know these things about Scientology, and they learn about it from the people who are out there protesting and live streaming Scientology. Joe Buchanan says, I love the cult of Nat. I'm here for it. Thank you. Yeah, my Freudian slip there earlier. The cult of Aloha. Okay, now let's jump over and look at Afila is doing an online vigil. Again, I will link all of this down below so you can check it out throughout the day. But she's doing an online vigil where there's a message scrolling below. You can check that out. I will link that. And then coming up, Dusty Soda Dispenser is going to be streaming this afternoon from Lisa McPherson's memorial brick that is in Clearwater, which by the way, last year or earlier this year, I remember Aaron Smith-Levin from growing up in Scientology went out to the brick and cleaned it up and painted over the letters. And I looked at recently, unless somebody else cleaned it up since I last saw it, it looked like I'm assuming it's Scientology, right? Because who else would do this? Tried to paint over it and make it so you couldn't clearly see what it was. So let's take a look. I'm going to share down below a link because this will be later today. This is, again, Dusty Soda Dispenser, Lisa McPherson Memorial, the evening edition. There's going to be more going on today, which we're about to look at. But this is the evening edition, so you can catch that. You can also catch Antics of a Mama Squirrel is, in fact, here she is right now. Hey! Is releasing a new video and song. I got to have a little sneak peek and it was fantastic. I'm going to link down below this link so that you can go to it and set your notification and check that out as well, because this is going to be coming up. Like I said, this is going to be coming up today. Something else that I wanted to show you, I'm going to have these all linked down below. You're going to have so many options to view vigil remembrances for Lisa McPherson today. So I'm going through them kind of fast, but they are going to be linked down below. Fat Grammy did a video, Good Morning Sunshines, Rest in Peace, Lisa McPherson. Fat Grammy, Mona, reads the Tampa Bay Times article about Lisa McPherson, and it is chilling. So check that out. I will link that down below. Scientology up north is also going to be doing a candlelit vigil. I'm going to link that one down below. And in fact, if you know of any others, email me, Natalie at lifeafteraCult.com. I will do my best to update the description of this video so it can kind of be a source for where you can find vigils and remembrances for Lisa McPherson. This will be the one for Scientology up north. Now there is another one we need to look at, but I need to catch up quick. I'm very behind on the chat. Oh, okay. Rika is going to be doing one in Portland. Rika, can you tell us about what time, maybe Portland time, you will be out there? Let me know. Let me know. Antics of a Mama Squirrel, beautiful heart for Scientology up north. There are many people in this community today who are going to be doing these vigils and remembrances because Lisa McPherson's story is so heartbreaking and an example of how dangerous Scientology is, and getting into the hands of Scientology, especially when you have mental health issues. Scientologist Whitney Mills, another young female Scientologist who passed away after not getting proper mental health treatment while under the care of Scientology doctor, Dr. David Minkoff. She was in Clearwater as well. And it's kind of like, oh, there's a theme. The closer you get to the head, the top of Scientology, the more culty it gets. The further away you can get from Clearwater or Los Angeles, there's still Scientology abuse is happening because they follow L. Ron Hubbard's policy, but it gets to be a little less culty. I want to pull something else up here. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. I just got to get this set up here. Reminder too, make sure that if you haven't already hit that like and checked your subscribe, do so. Do so. Now let's take a look. Let's go over to Clearwater. Feral Cheryl is already out there. Let's take a look at this. Nancy, can you share a link to this in the chat?
You know what I really need? Bet you like muscle memory.
So this is in Clearwater. The Lisa McPherson Vigil and Memorial has already started. It's being streamed by Farrell Cheryl.
That shit.
PC laser up.
And what I would like to do, what I would love to do is go do a room raid. Let's all head over there and check it out. Let's see what's happening. And again, you're going to be able to, all throughout the day, things are going to be happening. And feel free to email me, Natalie@lifeaftercult.com, and I will try and add it to the description of this video. I'm going to be gone a big chunk of the day later in the afternoon, so I might not be able to add things after this morning, but I want to put as many as possible. Yep. Now let's go over there. Nancy, did you already? Oh, Mama Opal shared a link. Fantastic. Let's go do a room raid over for Farrell Cheryl, who's already started with the vigil for Lisa McPherson in Clearwater. This is live. Let's go Aloha room raid over Farrell Cheryl. Joe, I will see you later. Send to Scientology sharing more information. She was held in room 174, a cabana on the ground floor in the back of the Fort Harrison for 17 days until she died. So please, let's go room raid Farrell Cheryl. Let's go check it out. I'm going to head over there and take a peek as well. And you guys know the drill. Get out there and have an amazing cult-free day.